Buckle up, everyone. You are strapped in and ready for Insurance Hour with me, your host, Karl Susman. Informing, educating, and entertaining, one policy at a time. This is Insurance Hour. Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here today. Our phone lines are closed because we do have a special guest in studio that we're going to be speaking with. So without any delay, let me give you his information. We have special guest Assemblymember Heath Flora. He represents the 9th Assembly District. That includes portions of the San Joaquin Valley and I believe it's pronounced I'm going to blow it. Help me out. Stanislaus. Sorry, guys. Stanislaus County. Before joining the Assembly in 2016, Assemblymember Flora brought his deep understanding of emergency response and rural community needs to Sacramento. He served as a firefighter for over 15 years, worked both with Cal Fire as a volunteer, also a small business owner, strong advocate for agricultural and public safety issues. He has a unique perspective on public service and private sector experience, and that gives him a very pragmatic perspective based on what I've seen from all of his legislation. Today, we are going to be talking about one that's pending. It is AB 637, which is also known as the Deceptive Disaster Relief Advertising Act. They always have to be multiple words. But before we jump in, I wanted to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be with you, Karl. And I look forward to the conversation. So pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. So let's just jump right in. So this bill, tell us what it is and tell us what made you think that now is the time to be putting something like this out there on the floor.
So absolutely. So as you said in the intro, I spent a number of years with Cal Fire and then, been a volunteer firefighter, on top of that. So really since early 2000s to really about 2017, 18 is when I kind of gave it up just because I got elected. But through those times, the first campaign fire I went on was the Cedar Fire in 2002 down the southern part of the state. And ever since, and you've always have just seen quite frankly, special interest groups, a lot of private attorneys that come into these disaster reliefs. In the industry, we call them ambulance chasers, right? Where, before the fire is out or before the patient's in the ambulance, they're handing out business cards to contact them. And this was part of that. This was one of those things we saw after the LA fires. These folks were coming in saying, they were going to do all this stuff. You pay them X amount of dollars and they will help them with the paperwork, pushing through the paperwork, getting them through the process under the guise or really the false advertisement, according as well as in the name, that they were connected to the insurance commissioner or an insurance company or any other government agency. So that is actually what spurred this. A friend of mine, Senator, the Commissioner, Karl Lara, is a friend. We've served together for a number of years when he was a senator. And we talked about this, and it was something that he felt was very, very important to kind of make sure that people understood that these folks were not friendlies. They were for profit, and they did not have any connection to any insurance company and or his agency. So that's kind of the background of it.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you have the background with the insurance commissioner as well, because I'm sure he's battling issues with that very issue right now going on. Now, this particular bill, tell us about it. Tell us exactly what it's designed to do. I mean, we can opine on it based on the title, but I'm sure there's some more meat in there. So give us the full rundown on it.
Yeah, in some ways it's very simple. There's not a lot of words to the bill that if you are doing this, you have to disclose that you are a for-profit entity, that you are not connected with a government agency or the insurance commissioner or any insurance company. You have to just very, very clearly disclose what your intentions are. You got to be with, John Doe's law firm or whoever it may be. That's really it. You just have to disclose that your intentions are for financial gain. Now, they may be able to help you. I'm not saying that they can't help you or, be a good advocate for you. But what we don't want is for, our constituents to think that this is going through a government agency or the insurance commissioner or really any other insurance company as well. So really, it's all about the disclosure.
It's all about the disclosure. And unfortunately, this is at a time when people are at their, they're at their wits' end. They've just had a major loss, and all of a sudden somebody shows up knocking on the door. Now, you said you saw this happening back back when you were volunteering during the fires. What was that? What was your experience? What were you seeing when people were they coming to you, or you were hearing about it, or how did that work?
you would have constantly people. I mean, you set up a security scene, a caution scene. You put tape around your engines or whatever, and they would be basically lining up along that tape, wanting to talk to the property owner, asking people were they the owner of the property, or asking us as firefighters who the property owners are, right? And you have to be very careful on how you disclose that information, right? Or even, you get in a car accident, and I mean, it's a little bit different on that regard, but they would be handling their card as you're wheeling patients into an ambulance. We've seen this multiple times, and it's not that uncommon. Again, that's why there is it's not the greatest title in the world, but we call them ambulance chasers. It's literally they listen to police scanners and listen to dispatches, and they show up.
Now, you brought up an interesting point, which I didn't realize. So this is not specifically targeting property insurance losses. This is for any type of, I suppose, advertising or any type of way that someone I guess it's not just the legal profession as well. It could be a public adjuster or anyone that is for profit looking to do any form of assistance after a disaster.
After a natural disaster or a disaster in general, yes. I mean, this is basically, we want people to understand who they're dealing with. It's just that simple. You just do not want, and you said something that's very, very important for people to understand. You are talking to these folks probably in the most vulnerable position they've ever been in their lives, right? They don't even know what ends up. They just had a major disaster with their family, within their community, in their personal life. They are very, very vulnerable. And this just allows people to take a minute. Okay, maybe just one extra thing, this person might not have my best interest in mind. Versus if you think you're talking to the insurance commissioner or his department or an insurance company, they typically do. I mean, you're their client, you're their person, right? So they want to do what's best for you. Some of these folks care about the dollars that they can make off of you. And that's what we really do have a struggle with.
I'm trying to imagine having people lining up after a disaster like that to hand out cards and to try and get business. And I believe it, but it's unbelievable. Were you hearing stories of that happening after the Southern California fires as well?
Absolutely. That is exactly why this bill came to place. I mean, it was the insurance commissioner that we talked to about this, and he was like, absolutely. That is the reason that this became, it's always happened throughout my career, whether it was as a volunteer or a paid firefighter. It's always happened that way. But the LA firefighters, it became such an issue that it became on the insurance commissioner's radar, to where we decided that we wanted to do something about it. Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit more about it. We're going to take our first quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about what type of advertising is it? Is it just written? Is it for people that are leaving business cards? Do they have to have something special on there? What about phone calls, things like that? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're here with the Assemblyman, and we're going to talk more about his bill. This is Insurance Hour. I am Karl Susman. Give us 60 seconds, and we will be right back. Let's talk about earthquakes for a minute. Look, we know we live in earthquake country here in California. Powerful, devastating earthquakes have happened here before, and science says that they will happen again. They can't tell us exactly when. They can just tell us that it is going to happen. Count on it. Prepare for it. Did you know that earthquakes are not covered by your homeowner's insurance policy? You need a separate policy to give you the peace of mind that you will be able to recover without getting financially wiped out the next time we get hit with a big one. There's a great company here in California that will provide you with earthquake coverage you need at a price you can afford. That company is GeoVera. I have a policy through GeoVera. I really like how easy it is to choose from all of their great coverage options, backed by the financial strength that lets me know that they will be here for me when I need them the most. Go to getquake.com/insurance hour to learn more. That's getquake.com/insurance hour. Make sure you're ready for the day when the ground shakes again. Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. The phone lines, although they are closed, let me give you those numbers. You can always call or text in your question. Number is 559-656-0317. You can also send your questions in by email to questions@insurancehour.com. Today we have a very special guest. We have Assemblymember Flora here, and we are discussing some very important legislation. I think we're actually going to be talking about another bill in addition to the bill we've already been talking about. So let's bring it back in. We're talking about AB 637 and how this is going to impact how marketing is done after a disaster. Are those are sort of the pillars? It's how there is marketing, what type of disclosures, and after disaster. Is that fair to say those are the main points?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Okay. So they're going to have to disclose more, which I can understand in the contract. But as the initial phase, when they're knocking on doors, or if they're cold calling, or they're trying to reach these people, is there language in the bill that describes what they have to disclose up front, or is it just at the end of the day when they're going to be signing a contract, they have to include certain language?
No, existing law already states really that they have to require to, it talks about disclose to clarify that any solicitations for goods or service are not being made by a government agency. That's already in statute. And so like when somebody hands you a business card, right, usually it says, John Doe's law firm or whoever that may be, right? And there's a name and a number in the organization. That would be technically okay, right? Because you should be able to read that business card. Okay, like this is fine. What we're trying to get away from is those folks that do not disclose that. And there really is no penalties for that. And so it is separating sort of the quote unquote good actors from the bad actors. Because there are groups out there that, though I don't love it and I think it's a little shady, that this is their job. This is their business model. This is what they do, right? And then there's a whole nother group that has come in that don't disclose who they are, that try to prey on what I would say the most vulnerable among us at that moment, right? And then that is where we've seen this massive influx in the LA area, for sure.
Now, you mentioned that there's no repercussions. Is there language in the bill that will impose some type of sanction or penalty for people that violate this new bill or hopefully this law?
Oh, yeah. The Attorney General, the Insurance Commissioner, and the Department of Consumer Affairs can bring action against that person. So, yeah, there is a pretty substantial solution, if you may say. And it's
got teeth. I like it.
$2,500 per violation. So it's not like it's going to go shut them down out of business, but it is enough, in my opinion, to wake them up just a touch.
Now, are there any exclusions or exceptions for things like nonprofit organizations that might be out there under the auspice of assisting consumers that are nonprofit?
There are. And I think, again, it goes back to most of these nonprofits are following the rules, right? They understand, hey, we're a nonprofit, and they're not coming in like the next day. The nonprofits are coming in once the disaster is deemed safe. How can we, work through the system? And, if you go to a Cal Fire base camp that really does a lot of this stuff, a lot of nonprofits work through the base camps. They go to base camp and they set up there. And so they want to make sure that they're not stepping on the toes of the fire service or any other recovery activities. So the nonprofit side of things, we're not really seeing a huge issue with. It really is, sadly, it's just this private attorneys that just want to make money. Honestly, it's just kind of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say you're saying what you're seeing out there, and I want to touch on something that I'm really interested to see how you're going to tackle, and that's social media. You have a lot of these small apps that are out there now, small community apps where they're advertising. It's unbelievable. You have people talking about, I've got an extra barbecue. Do you want to pick it up? And then next to it, you see this massive ad, get you the most money for your insurance claim and things like that. How would those types of ads be potentially impacted by this?
They would have to disclose on that site that they were whoever they were. Absolutely. That's one of the big parts. Like, if you are not disclosing who you are as an entity and what your goals are, then that will be in violation of this. And I think social media is a big part of that. These folks, you can, geofence any area all around the Palisades or all around Altadena, and you can spend, $150 a day or a month, whatever you want, and cover, tens of thousands of people, right? And all they're looking for is a few people to respond back to them. And when those folks reach out to the insurance commissioner or whoever, the Department of Consumer Affairs or the Attorney General, and say, hey, like X, Y, or Z, we saw this is what's happening. This bill gives those folks the ability to go track that down and deal with that accordingly.
And are these potential penalties? Are these fines going to the consumer who was impacted, or is this going into the straight treasury? I'm just trying to get an idea of how aggressively consumers might be looking for this.
It's not going directly to the consumer, no. It's going to go into the treasury. Probably whatever organization brings it forward is probably where it's going to go. I'm assuming probably through the Attorney General in his office, ultimately. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good, because my concern sometimes is, how it goes when laws come out where people can make money, they go looking for ways to make that money. So this is not going to be a new feeding frenzy for people to go out there and try and make money off of. Now,
no, and honestly, if that was the case, then this bill would be doing exactly what we're trying to stop, right?
Right. Just shifting who's getting paid, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for just in general, what's a good rule of thumb? If, somebody, again, they're in this low point, there's been a large disaster, and like you said, they're most vulnerable, and they're being reached out to by a lot of people. What's a way for them? And I know we're just going to generalize, which I hate to do, but sometimes you have to. What is a good rule of thumb? What are some good points that people can be aware of to look out for or look for when they're trying to separate the good actors from the bad actors?
Well, I think, again, with a little bit of disclosure, I think we can help fix that. But I think use somebody that you know. And we all probably have an insurance broker or somebody in the insurance community that we trust and we understand. Reach out to them, ask a few questions before you give anybody any of your personal information. Talk to your local elected officials. I mean, honestly, that's what we're all represented to, talk to our community, right? I mean, that's my job. And then honestly, reach out to the insurance commissioner. I find his department very easy to get a hold of people with. And I think it's just one of those things where right now we have to do a little bit extra due diligence. I don't know if you've noticed this uptick in just like spam calls or scam calls on your cell phone. I mean, it's unbelievable how many calls I get a day from just random things, right? And so there is this weird dynamic right now within our society of really preying on our consumers. And I think right now we really, really have to be diligent and making sure that who we're talking to, they are who they are. And I don't think it's bad at all to just take an extra moment to talk to somebody else, have somebody else get a set of eyes on it, look at it, reach out to somebody you trust within that industry, and then move forward. But I do hope that, with the disclosures, if you are a John Doe law firm and you want to help people and there's a fee to that and they're okay with that fee, awesome, go do it, right? No problem at all. What we don't want, though, is these people to come and say we're going to do X, Y, and Z, get nothing for it, then get charged, right? That's what we're really, really trying to pinpoint.
I hear you. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about who you are finding is supporting and who might be opposing this bill. Again, we're here with special guest Heath Flora. Thank you so much for being with us. Be back in 60 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just a few moments, the Window to the Magic podcast show will begin.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Calvin.
I'm Mouseketeer Gray.
My name is Paul, and I will be your guide through the wonderful world of Disney sound experiences.
This show is a weekly trip into the world of the Disney theme parks and resorts.
And this is the place where you get to use your ears to surround yourself with the magic.
For your safety, please remain seated while listening to the windowtothemagic.com podcast.
Maybe there's a name for this, something like Disnotic obsession. Please visit windowtothemagic.com for more information, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts and in the iHeartMedia app.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here today. While the phone lines are not being manned because we do have a special guest, you can still call or text with your questions. That number is 559-656-0317. Questions can be emailed anytime as well to questions@insurancehour.com. We are here today with special guest, Assemblymember Heath Flora. We are talking about not just one, but we will be soon talking about a second piece of legislation that's there to help consumers. Assemblyman, we were talking before the break about this particular bill, and I want to know who is supporting. This is AB 637 we're talking about. Again, tell us who's in support of this, who is in opposition. What are you seeing as this is starting to come to fruition?
Yeah, so obviously the insurance commissioner is supportive of it, and the California Association of Realtors as well. There is really no Department of Insurance is supporting it. Obviously, that's Ricardo's, the commissioner. There is no registered opposition at this point. We just checked on that, make sure they hadn't sent their letter in, but I can almost guarantee you consumer attorneys will probably become in opposition at some point. Although currently, as of right now, at 10:32, there is no registered opposition. So the retailers, or not the retailers, keep saying that, the realtors and the Department of Insurance are currently supporting it.
It's interesting. I can understand the Department of Insurance. Why do you think the realtors are interested in this type of bill?
They just don't want their property owners or homeowners to get hosed. I mean, it's just a good faith effort to protect their homeowners. Again, it's not that egregious of a bill. I mean, in the bill language, it talks about this. It gives examples of, you talk about nonprofits. To be in compliance, this is what you need to say. I mean, it very clearly states what a nonprofit isn't, So it's just one of those bills that seems very simple, and I don't expect a lot of opposition. I really don't. I think it's not, even the fees, like a lot of times people on my side of the aisle don't love, fees on things. We don't like that kind of stuff. But this is just very necessary to just put some sort of teeth in there.
No, I understand. And I think it makes, I think the fact that it's simple is part of its allure also, right? Because this is not something that people have to sit and digest and understand and try and figure out the different repercussions in both directions. Assuming that at some point there will be some form of opposition to it, what's your general response going to be looking like? And again, there's no secret. So, we're assuming that people that are going to be impacted by this are people that are making a living by doing exactly this. What is your general, response to them going to be when they're saying, hey, we don't want to disclose, I guess? I mean, I'm not quite sure what they would oppose other than to straight out just say, we really just don't want to oppose this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great question, to be honest with you. And it's very interesting. We have these conversations with some of these folks. I mean, it's really simple. Like, you're really having this conversation with me right now. You really are going to oppose a bill that is simply asking for you to tell constituents who you are. That's all we're asking. Like, if you're so good at your job, why won't you disclose it? If there's nothing to hide, if there's nothing nefarious, then just tell us who you are. That's it. You're welcome to go work with them. You're welcome to go get a fee from them. You just simply have to disclose it. And if you're not willing to do that, then there's probably some other reason why.
Understood. And what would you say if this bill had been in place, let's just say before the Southern California wildfires? What would you expect things to look like or be that is not happening right now based on the feedback you're getting so far?
I think you would have seen a lot of folks not be going through this. I think this would not have been risen to the level that the insurance commissioner and the Department of Insurance engaged on it, right? I think this just would have kind of taken care of itself. A lot of the consumer attorney folks are very opportunistic. They see an opportunity and they pounce on it. Again, I don't necessarily want to fault them for doing that's their business model. However, my job as an elected official is to protect constituents, right? And not allow them to be preyed on. So I think it would have changed a lot, to be honest with you. It would not, again, if you're going to give your business card out to somebody that's got your name and your organization on it and all those things, no big deal. That's not done. That's all perfectly fine. This is going after a very niche group that really raised their ugly head during the LA fires.
That is for sure. And I was hearing a lot about fraud in general, but I wasn't focused too much on the legitimate business activities. But I'm wondering about that intersection between fraud for straight up people that were being contacted and were being told, please sign this so I can assist you. And they were just taking it as an identity theft opportunity. This would be a way to cut back on the straight out fraud as well, because potentially if someone is not, those people are definitely not going to put this disclosure language in what they're doing. So if consumers can be looking out for it, that might also help them avoid certain types of fraud.
Oh, 100%. If we make this bill known, which I think the Department of Insurance is probably going to do once it gets, why it has an urgency clause on it, so once it's out through the House, the governor can sign it right away and it goes into effect, which is good. I think once that's done, the Department of Insurance can get this out to the communities, right, and make sure people understand that this is going on, and then really start protecting them. Because I completely agree with you. So after that goes on, and then you see something come through or a social media ad that doesn't have these disclosures on it, that should raise a red flag, and they should have Department of Consumer Affairs look into it, or Department of Insurance look into it.
What's interesting again is you're talking about the Department of Insurance making people aware of this. And do you have any ideas of what type of public awareness campaigns you might do to try and get the word out when this actually gets to be on the books and law of the land?
I have not talked to the Department of Insurance on that just yet, but I would think social media is a great way to, get out the word relatively cheap and inexpensive. I wouldn't be surprised if there was radio and maybe, some TV at some point, but it's hard to watch TV when you don't have a house. So I think I think probably social media would probably be, in my opinion, sort of the best route right off the bat, and see what kind of response we get. But again, that's probably right after this bill gets passed and signed, hopefully, which I don't see why it wouldn't. That'll be conversations we have at that point. But yeah, I think social media is a great access, and even radio. I mean, it's amazing how many people still listen to the radio in their car.
I was surprised as well, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So give us a quick, we've got about 30 seconds left before I want to switch topics. Can you tell us what is the current status and timeline of the bill?
The bill is set for a committee hearing. I'm sorry, I'm just going blank on the date. I think next week, So,
soon.
And it's going to, it's soon. And it's going to go obviously through insurance. But no, we want to get it rushed through and get it off the floor, get it over to the Senate, get it out of the Senate, and then get it to the governor's desk. But I can find out the end. Well, maybe on our next break, I'll dig up exactly the dates that the bill is set for.
No, I'm just glad to hear that we're talking about days or weeks and not months or more, which is terrific.
Yeah, it's going to be heard in committee very, very soon. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm going to dig that.
I'll let you dig it up during the break. And when we come back, I want to pivot over to another one of the bills that you're a co-sponsor on. We'll be right back with special guest Heath Flora today on Insurance Hour. Stand by.
Have you been dropped by your insurance agency or seen your premiums skyrocket? Susman Insurance is here to help. We're a family-owned and operated insurance agency that's been serving our community for 2 generations. At Susman Insurance, we know how stressful it can be to find the right coverage, especially when prices go up or you're left without insurance. That's why we're committed to finding you competitive rates, whether it's for fire, home, earthquake, flood, auto insurance, you name it. We've got you covered. Give us a call or send a text to 310-820-5200 or visit us online at sussmaninsurance.com. Plus, stay updated on all things insurance by joining our text group. Just text 567-4-CARL with a K. That's 567-367-5275 to get the latest updates straight to your phone. Susman Insurance, your family's insurance solution.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here today. We have the phone lines closed because we have live people today, but you can still call and text in your questions. The number, of course, 559-656-0317. Call or text. Email your questions in to questions@insurancehour.com. We are here today with our special guest, Assemblymember Heath Flora. By the way, if you have questions, you can always reach out to him. We'll make sure you have contact information as well. But if you forget and you want to reach out to me, we'll be sure to get the information over to him. Assemblymember, I want to talk about another bill that you are working on. It's AB 1354. So take the floor. Tell us all about this, because I think this really is a game changer for Californians.
Yeah, so it's a bill that Assemblymember Greg Wallace out of Palm Springs and myself are co-authoring together. And it really came through, and I'll just be very honest, I mean, it's Insurance Hour, and I think that we can, it's sad. For the last 30 years, we've artificially suppressed the insurance market in the state of California, in my opinion. We've not allowed rate increases. Nobody likes rate increases, but my family comes from a manufacturing background, and it's very standard within industry and manufacturing to have a 3 to 5% rate increase every year, just on cost of goods, like things continue to go up. And I do believe that we have artificially suppressed that over the last 30 years because most people don't want rate increases on their insurance. We have come to a place in time where there's the point of no return. We have to fix this. And, the insurance commissioner, I think, is doing the best he can as far as trying to balance this out. But the reality is there has to be rate increases for us to fix this market. And I believe over the next 5 years, you're going to see a rate increase, and then the free market will kind of take over. We'll bring more competition back into the state, and those rates will suppress again, just based on the free market, which I'm excited about. But until we get them, AB 1354 would simply allow you to write off your premium increases for the next 5 years. That's it. So if whatever that rate increase may be for your property, you could write that off your income tax. And that's what we're after, to try to give some relief to our constituents in what is a overwhelmingly I don't know, crappy situation. I don't know a better word. Well, there's other words I could use, but but no. It's
well,
just,
you sound like I have. I think I've probably given that exact explanation about the artificial suppression and how competition will come back. That is the most American thing there is, right? Is we let companies compete and then consumers a benefit, right? I don't know of any industry that prices do not get very competitive when there are a lot of people competing for the same business, right? There's a finite number of people in California, and it's the fifth largest insurance market on the planet. So if we can create an environment where insurance companies can actually write business, they're going to be competing for business, and we will see that relief. So tell me how, again, this works. You're talking about deductions of premium. Are you talking about being able to deduct their entire property insurance premium, or is it just an amount from a certain date to a different date of the increased amount, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it is a date. So January 1st of 2025, right, to January 1st of 2030, and it's the premium increase for your residential property value.
Okay. Now, I'm going to get a little in the weeds because, like you said, it's the insurance show. So feel free if I'm getting too in the weeds and you don't have it handy, that's totally fine. So if someone has a policy with, insurance company X, and that insurance company increases their premium 20%, that seems like a pretty simple way to do it. But what happens if company X no longer offers coverage? Consumer has to purchase from company Y and the price is double.
Then it's a great question, actually, and it's something that we're looking with the insurance, the Committee on Insurance right now to look into that, because it is a lot of people are getting dropped. I cannot tell you how many people. Now, for me personally, I would like it if whatever that rate was that you had previously, that you were dropped. So say you're $8,000 a year on your residential property tax, right? And it goes up to $12,000. Or you should be able to write that $4,000 increase off. That's just how I look at that.
Again, I don't mean to put you on this. I don't mean to put you on the spot with it, but I'll throw some more at you so you can keep in mind. So, company one going out, no longer offering is one option. And another option is simply if someone is not able to obtain a plain old homeowners insurance policy anymore, perhaps now they have to go to the California Fair Plan and they have to get a supplemental policy. So now we're looking at potentially, let's just use simple numbers. Perhaps they were paying $5,000 or $6,000 with an insurance company, and now they have to pay $8,000 or $9,000 with Fair Plan, plus another $4,000 or $5,000 with a supplemental policy. So they'll potentially be looking to deduct any increase in their property insurance premium, regardless of how that actually rolls out mechanically, comparing it to what they were paying the beginning of 2025 going forward. That's the general mantra, I suppose?
100% yes. Yeah, and I think that's where, we've got requests into LAO to kind of figure out what kind of hit the state general fund would take because of this, because we want to be very cautious of that as well. And that might also kind of affect sort of some of the amendments that we're willing to take as well. Because again, the state needs tax dollars. We all understand that. I don't want to just completely decimate that. Also why that there is a cap on this. I don't want this indefinitely, right? It's just for the next 5 years. But I think it's, again, like a lot of legislation that I write and that I choose to run, and it's kind of like the last bill we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes, is like, keep it simple, stupid, right? If your rate increases X, and however that rate increases now Y, you should be able to write that off, because it is not the fault, in my opinion, of the property owner. It's not their fault, that their house burned down. It's not their fault that they had a natural disaster, right? So giving them some relief. And then on top of that, it's not their fault that we've artificially suppressed the insurance market for 30 years, right? So then all of a sudden to drop a 22% rate increase on their top of their head, when a lot of these folks, let's face it, are on somewhat fixed incomes. They're, maybe retired. They don't have a lot of a 22% increase on their expendable income, right? So I think just some small amount, and I've heard, folks talk about this, like, well, this is great, but when they have to pay the bill, but they're not going to get this money until April, till their taxes, right? Like, what do they do? And it's a whole nother conversation to have, right? Like, there is no perfect solution. There isn't. And I think that's the point, that like, we're not talking about a fix here. We're just desperately trying to stop the bleeding, and just try to give some sort of relief to our constituents. And I know it's the heart of the insurance commissioner. I know it's the heart of my Democratic colleagues, and it's the heart of Republicans as well. Like, we are in this thing together as Californians. And the only way that we're going to get out of it is by rate increases. And the only way that we can do that is try to figure out some other creative ways to give our taxpayers the slightest amount of relief.
I think that's very well put. I want to talk about this a little bit further. We'll take another quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about, if you'd like, about how the rate suppression has been impacting people over the last, let's just call it a decade. This is Insurance Hour, here with special guest, Assemblymember Flora. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just a few moments, the Window to the Magic podcast show will begin.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Calvin.
I'm Mouseketeer Greg.
My name is Paul, and I will be your guide through the wonderful world of Disney sound experiences.
This show is a weekly trip into the world of the Disney theme parks and resorts.
And this is the place where you get to use your ears to surround yourself with the magic.
For your safety, please remain seated while listening to the windowtothemagic.com podcast.
Maybe there's a name for this, something like Disnotic obsession. Please visit windowtothemagic.com for more information, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts and in the iHeart Media app.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here today. We are here with our special guest, Assemblymember Heath Flora. We are talking about insurance, ways to save money on your taxes. What could be better? Before the break, we were talking a little bit about this new bill. Why don't you give us a quick rundown again for people that are just joining us? Tell us about AB 1354.
Yeah, so AB 1354 is just a very simple bill that would allow you to deduct your residential property tax starting January 1st, 2025 to January 1st, 2030. Because sadly, we know that we've artificially suppressed the insurance market for 30 plus years now. And so what our goal is to just allow folks to get some sort of relief off their taxes by writing off their premium in that 5-year period until the free market comes back in and we have competition again. And we get these insurance rates suppressed again.
So Proposition 103 is what's usually called out whenever we hear about insurance rate suppression. And people always like to try and stand up and say, oh, well, look at how much money we've saved and all these. And what would it have been like without Prop 103? And I always say the same thing. We really don't know, unless there's a parallel universe we can compare where Prop 103 never happened. We really wouldn't know where the market would be today. And I think my question to you is, if we're looking to do something to try and offset these costs that are now starting to rear their I say realistic heads, because to your point, they've been artificially suppressed below what is necessary. What do you think will happen with regulations, old regulations like Prop 103, that are basically trying to do just the opposite, which are trying to suppress carriers from writing business by basically dictating what the rates are that they're charging?
Yeah, I think Prop 103 has turned out to be an abject failure, in my opinion. And I just take a step back to any other industry within the country or really worldwide. When you talk about rate increases, it's not uncommon at all. And we talked about it just briefly earlier. A 3 to 5% rate increase every year is very, very normal. Whether it's inflation or just cost of goods, cost of certain, my family again is in manufacturing. It's just what you do. You just have to, and people can plan on that. They expect that. It's not a shock to them. But it was really clever when the consumer watchdog groups, wrote themselves into 103, and we literally pay them to come testify in opposition to these rate increases. And it's amazing that the Department of Insurance pays these people to come testify in opposition. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. They pay these people to testify in opposition. They sue the Department of Insurance over this. And so it's great. It works out real well. Perfect. We haven't had any rate increases. We all love that until now. Until we have no insurance market in the state of California, we're staring down the barrel of potentially a 22% rate increase across the board. And then what? So I guess, to me, as a taxpayer, I would prefer that we have that just steady climb, that steady increase, because you can plan on that. Most of us in life that are in business or just, in our own personal finances, if we can plan, if there's certainty, then we can plan. when there's uncertainty like this, it's really, really hard to plan for just some random year in 2025 now that we're going to get a 22% rate increase on top of our insurance, right? And so I think for me, it's relatively common within across industries to have those. And I really do wish that we could get back to that. I think it's needed, though none of us want increases on anything. I think for all of us that understand business, which is probably the majority of the folks that are listening to Insurance Hour, they get this concept. And I think we've done ourselves a disservice in Prop 103. I really do.
Well, it seems like there's no question that in order to get the market back to where we want, which is to have many insurance companies competing for business, something has to change, right? Keep doing the same thing, we're going to get exactly where we are now, which is, to your point, we don't have a property insurance market in California. For the most part, I think of all of the carriers that are admitted to do business, there is perhaps in the single digits of carriers that you'll recognize the name of that are offering new policies. So something dramatic has to change. And I think the idea for us to be able to help consumers along the way as they're adjusting to the reality of what our exposure is in California is a really good idea, because it is going to help them. I mean, I'm born and raised in California, so I can bash California if I want now and then, but we always seem to be able to find money, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that as this bill works its way through the different committees, and I'm sure it'll be looked at, and someone's going to say, wait a minute, this is going to mean that the state treasury is going to be out X number of dollars. How are you going to argue for consumers to try and explain to those people that, yes, that might be true, however, keeping someone in their home or keeping their home insured, or what are some of the arguments that you're going to be able to help to try and push this along?
Yeah, I mean, it's the governor has always said, a budget reflects your values, and I'm maybe paraphrasing that, but I mean, he said that multiple times. A budget reflects your values, and for us, like, one of our biggest values is in California. I mean, I've been elected for 9 years now, and all I've heard about is housing and keeping people in their homes. Well, you can't buy a house if you can't get insurance. If you can't afford that, so it's very, very simple to me. Like, we have to figure out a way to help our communities out, help them rebuild, help them get insurance. And if you have a continued, if your insurance is getting canceled because your roof needs to be replaced in the next 5 years and they're coming in and canceling that, right? Like, that's garbage, right? I think we need to be able to have those conversations. And then I think insurance companies, like, I'm a free market guy. It's not rocket science. When you have 3 companies in the state that are writing policies right now, some of them aren't hardly even writing renewals anymore, right? Well, there's, to your point earlier, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. We're a huge market for the insurance community. They all want to be here. So let's give them a reason to come back. And I do think in that point in what we talked about with 1354, like, it's going to be a little painful for the next few years. It really will be. But when we bring back the insurance market, let them continue to write policies in the state, make it affordable for our communities, make it profitable for them, then we have a market that is sustainable, where everybody's happy. Consumers get a proper rate, and insurance companies are making money, and away we go. Now, I'm not saying that we just give free rein to insurance companies to raise rates, willy-nilly. That's certainly not what I'm saying. But there is something fundamentally wrong with us as taxpayers, because, we pay these rates, we pay the Department of